fringe activities leading up to late July, particularly in the spring.
I was trying to understand this because you broke the news on this program more than a month ago that you've looked for reasons and catalysts to understand how an investigation was opened and launched into the Trump campaign. And you said to us, based on the Five Eyes intelligence of all of our partners across the world, that there was no intelligence that you could find that was launched that investigation. And yet here you have your colleague, Trey Gowdy, saying the FBI did the right thing. So I'm trying to understand where the disconnect is.
Well, I think on what Trey Gowdy's saying, and we got to be very careful because the media's tried to make a bigger deal about this than what it is. What Trey Gowdy's specifically talking about is this small slice of the investigation that we're looking at as it relates to whether or not informants, an informant or informants were used. That's what he's referring to when he talks about that the president's not a target of this investigation. I believe that Mr. Gowdy knows very well, and he's been instrumental in helping us get to the bottom of the FISA abuse that did occur. That is absolutely for sure.
Right. The dossier was unverified, and that was used to get a FISA warrant.
Yes, and there's new information actually this week that the media is ignoring. So
before he gets into that, remember those briefings? They didn't turn the information over. So of course the fucking Democrats were like, yeah, nothing I saw in that meeting has changed my mind. Yeah, because they didn't give you what the fucking Republicans asked for. What bullshit. So every single one of those motherfuckers, including Gowdy, that came out of that meeting when the media asked him, did you see anything that changed your mind? All those motherfuckers are liars. All those because unless you're telling the truth, I mean, they lied by omission, right? But it's still lying because they were not given the information. So the whole thing was fucking bullshit. They still don't have the information. Why aren't they giving it to them? Obviously, because it makes them look bad and they don't want to hand it over. Unfucking believable, these motherfuckers. So that whole thing, oh yeah, well, we didn't see anything that changed our minds. Trump was not vindicated. His own people have turned against him. They didn't fucking release the information. Assholes. Fucking assholes. I knew there was some bullshit. That's what it was. So Nunez plays it cool, doesn't say shit all week, and then bang. Not only tells that on the air, then gets into this shit, which is even fucking better when it comes to the Australian diplomat.
So the New York Times has reported in the past that the Australian ambassador, Australian High Commissioner, is the one that brought this to the attention of the United States government. Now, typically that would have gone through FBI channels. It would have went through the embassy in London, and it would have came across officially.
And it didn't.
Across the pond officially. And it didn't, and that's what we would like to have seen. Now, this week, we now know that Mr. Downer, the former Australian ambassador, High Commissioner in London,
it's definitely
said
live.
that he had given it to the information to the Australian ambassador in the U.S. Well, now we know that that's not true. So Mr. Downer now has claimed that in an Australian newspaper, but we now know from sources that have now spoke to different media outlets, the Australians are denying that that's how this happened, that the Australian ambassador in the United States had nothing to do with this. And quite frankly, that's what we want our partners in Australia to do. We don't think that...
That's a glitch in the... It'll come back.
It's not what we want to see.
If the president is not a target, why are we talking about a potential interview with the special prosecutor? Back to the letter that Fox News has obtained, and that is basically a letter from the senior legal team outlining the reasons why the president should not sit with Robert Mueller and is not going to be subpoenaed and should not be. So if he's not a target, why did they have to send this letter?
Well, I agree with you, right? So this is the difference. So Mr. Gowdy believes that he's been told by the Department of Justice on several occasions that Mr. Trump's not a target. But what I keep going back to is that, well, wait a second. We know from Mr. Comey, he said that the Trump campaign was the reason that they opened up the counterintelligence investigation. So they did open up an investigation in the Trump campaign. And so, look, maybe I'm not a lawyer. Maybe there's a legal definition as to why he's not part of this. However, I don't think that's the case here. I mean, I just think that it's impossible to believe in normal America, if you open up into the Trump campaign,
further
you
than normal.
Absolutely
way further than
are
normal.
opening up into Donald Trump himself.
Greater
That's
than
my
50
opinion.
is
Mr.
an
Gowdy doesn't
exception.
think so. He's a lawyer. He's worked with DOJ. I don't know who's right, but it's one of the things that we have to get to the bottom of.
38,000 feet is why.
The State Department right now.
Francis Lancer, yo, HB, you need a Pulitzer because that was just the realest journalism I've ever seen. Oh shit, son. Are you talking about the thing with the bottom line that they didn't?
Only got 4 packets from this particular aircraft. 4 packets of data, whereas this other one here, over 1,000 packets as it flew by. So this one, if I get any more packets, will probably be here by then. Somewhere in between, if at all. And as it dropped off over a minute without any packets, and it'll just drop away. So
crazy. And they were like, "Oh, Devin Nunes, he's quiet." Yeah. Unreal. The Pulitzer is getting.
This is the raw
retweeted by
data
Julian
up here.
Assange. That's the Pulitzer now. They need to. Oh, I was saying. People were talking about. I forget. Trump said something about pardons or something, and I was like, "Pardon Assange." He should have pardoned Assange. I will. I'll don the Trump hat for that. I'll be officially on the train if he does that. Xbit. Anyway, thank you, Francis. Very kind of you. Xbit. KHB, could you please move that chat more to the center? HNN chat rules. The rest is for losers. Well, I love both equally. They're like children. Is it cut off? Let me put it like here.
41,000 feet. That's also above the norm. There could be a Dreamliner, but it's generally the only commercial traffic you'll find up there. I mean to say civilian commercial. Private executive, it's almost all up there as well.
I was referring to just a little bit ago is that the New York Times had reported that Mr. Downer, the Australian High Commissioner, had brought this information through official channels through Five Eyes Intelligence. That didn't happen. We have people in the State Department who say that they were involved. So people in the U.S. State Department have admitted they were involved. So now we're trying to figure out, well, who at the State Department was involved? Did Mr. Downer take this information to the State Department? Is that what happened? And did the State Department then take that to the...
So how did I know it would skip some distance before it would pick up again? Because there's things on my local horizon which prevent me from seeing it even at that altitude.
Same shit with Clapper. Same shit with fucking who's the Jewish dude? The fucking goddamn, what is his name? He's like Cody Shearer. You know what I'm talking about? That motherfucker. All of these motherfuckers. None of this shit happened the right way.
Because somehow all the normal procedures and processes were short-circuited in this investigation. And why is this important? It's important because they opened up an investigation into a political campaign, Maria. A political campaign. We're not talking about terrorism. We're not talking about something criminal. They used our intelligence services by opening up a counterintelligence investigation. They did not have to convene a grand jury. None of that had to happen here, which is why it really falls on the House of Representatives. It falls on the Intelligence Committee. And this is why people should be nervous. There's very few people in this country who can actually get to the bottom of what happened here. I prefer not to have to be doing this. There's a lot of important work that we could be doing, but the American people are counting on Congress to get to the bottom of this. We're the only ones with the classification, with the clearances that matter to get to the bottom of this situation. And so, even though we don't want to be doing it, we're the ones that have to do it. Because if we don't, who will? And I just don't think members, if they're being honest, all the members of my committee don't believe that the counterintelligence capability should be used to target a political party. None of my members on the Republican side.
Congressman,
that's some real shit, man. I have no issue with anything he said. Yeah, so I'm like, what the fuck is Gowdy doing? So he's made it clear, without completely throwing Gowdy under the bus, he's made it clear, though, Gowdy's playing games. He's playing legal games. On the one hand, he's saying Trump's not the target of the investigation. That's true. Trump's not the target. That's very significant. But it doesn't change the fact that his campaign was targeted politically. Those are two different arguments. Gowdy's making those deliberately. He knows exactly what he's saying. Nunes is calling his ass on it. So I'm at least happy to see that.
We're going to take a short break, but I've got to ask you about the Google story where in the search results it says Nazism as an ideology for the Republicans. You as a California congressman, we'll be right back with that. Stay with us. And I am back with House Intel Committee Chairman Devin Nunes. Mr. Chairman, you've got the primary in California next week, and you've also got an IG report forthcoming. What are you expecting from the Inspector General's report with regards to the email?
This guy at 41,000 feet must be picked up somewhere over here and is still passing us for me to be receiving as many as 100 messages from him. Compare against this guy who's been taking off from the airport, and I've got over 400 from him already. And then there's this dude who's on the way in, who I've got almost as many messages from as he approaches. So this other dude must be somewhere on the outskirts here or here. I'd say up here. And he's passing. He might be going east or west. I don't know which. Can't really tell that.
In California on Tuesday, right before that primary, you being a California congressman, I want to get your take on this because
I've got a squawk code and everything.
Basically, as an ideology
and his
of the
ICAO
California
code.
Republican Party, less than a week before the primary, Nazism shows up in the search results from Google. Google displayed the information in the knowledge panel next to search results, which listed Nazism alongside fiscal conservatism, market liberalism, and ideologies of the state GOP. Your reaction, sir?
Yeah, so we're on the front lines out here in California. I always say this, you know, I'm used to getting attacked. I enjoy getting attacked by these crazy leftists. But I think what the American people need to understand is that there is bias against conservatives and Republicans all across this country. And now as you see things, it's always been there with newspapers and television, but now as you see it getting into the internet, you know, it's one of the challenges we have with millennials. So if somebody types in Republican and up comes Nazi, well, nobody wants to be affiliated with Nazis. So this is one of the challenges we're having with millennials. I just looked on Twitter. Drudge, the Drudge Report is being censored today. So for the last 3 or 4 days,
chuckle.
I haven't been able to get on the Drudge Report because it's being censored on Twitter. So this censorship of conservatives and Republicans and conservative values continues in this country. And here in California, we're on the front lines. I just hope that at some point people realize there's a reason why California is not doing as well as the rest of the country.
This is the
California's
United
a
one.
great state.
Are we going to see
this one
new
up here.
legislation
Still don't have a flight name for that
to
one.
try to stop social media from censoring conservative ideas then?
Well, the best thing would be is for there to be some, you know, where a new search
Going to
engine
London
that
Heathrow,
actually
the one that just
doesn't
took off.
censor conservatives. I think there's a free market solution here if somebody can compete with Google. If they can't, then ultimately we're looking at monopolies, and then that, you know, that brings in a whole other set of circumstances. Is are these companies, Facebook, Twitter, Google, Apple, etc., are they monopolies? And should they be reined in? I would hope we don't have to go there. I would hope that they, you know, just don't get involved in politics and don't censor conservatives and Republicans. But if they continue to do it, then we have to move, obviously, to hearings on these issues.
That's a warning. I mean, I would like to see the free market fix this. I think it's going to take a long time, and there's going to be lots of censorship in the meantime. So, with that being the case, it looks like there very well could be hearings. But that was definitely a threat, and I now Google probably won't give a fuck. But I at least liked his answer. But yeah, the main thing to take away, I like the fact they talked about censorship. That's great. The main takeaway is that they were not given the information
Heading east.
that they were promised.
Almost east.
So every person that came out of that meeting that said, I haven't seen anything that
So is
changed
this
my
guy.
mind. I was very careful the way they were talking. The way they all talked, I was like, it's weird. And then Nunez isn't saying anything. I was like, this is weird. This doesn't make any sense. There it was. They didn't even show them the information. They're still holding on to it. So this is an unresolved issue. And Trump's guys are not turning on him. And the fucking people that said that Nunez was turning, bullshit. If you want to make the argument for Gowdy, like I'm not going to. He lied. I mean, so is it lied because he sees some sort of position coming? Did he lie because he wants to protect the FBI? I don't give a fuck. He lied. This dude hasn't lied yet. So, yeah. Unbelievable. Every time. If it doesn't make... It's true what Judge Judy says. It's true. If it doesn't make sense, it's a lie. That shit didn't make any sense. And, of course, this is one other thing that you can guarantee. If Adam Schiff's lips are moving, he's either sucking dick or he's lying. I don't think that person has ever said anything true. So, if Schiff walks out of a meeting, you can assume the opposite of what he's saying is true. Wow, that was some shit. That interview blew. I don't think I said anything on when I saw this on Sunday. I was like, "You've got to be fucking kidding me!" They didn't show it to them. God damn it. Well, there's that. So this is going to be interesting. The IG report. Now that's bad news in regards to it could be watered down. We'll know if it's true, because if it's not that bad, then it was watered down, because people that saw it were like, yeah, this is really bad. Cooper sees the truth. Gowdy's an intelligent guy. We know he's
getting quite a lot of information from this guy, except a flight number. He's at 40,000 feet and cruising fast enough to probably be a small jet, as well as like a really big Dreamliner or something. Some of the civilian traffic is also going as fast, but even faster, but it's lower. It's all below 40,000. 37, 34, 36, 39 here. American Airlines. I bet that's a Dreamliner. Could be. Might be a 777 or a 747. It's actually an A330 Airbus. We got 8 showing here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Some pretty impressive numbers on that guy. Also this one.
The question is why. Now the thing is, so it's really going to be about which guys. So someone listed, what is it, Goodlate, Grassley, and Nunez now. Those are the 3, right? Are there other ones? Jim Jordan, I guess, and Gates. Are those pretty much the guys that are playing it straight right now? Not a lot of people. Not a lot. So we'll have to see. Thank you, Cooper sees the truth. That was a very good interview. This is what I mean. This is I don't know what the deal with this dude is. He's a very unusual politician. I cannot imagine he doesn't destroy his race.
This guy.
But we'll see. That would be crazy.
ACA. Oh, so it's Air Canada.
Yeah, okay. All right, cool. All right, well, that's the end of the broadcast tonight. I don't
Also
really have
heading to
anything
Heathrow?
else
No,
prepped.
Frankfurt.
So we will do tomorrow about
There's
1
a
to
787.
3, something like that. And yeah, we'll see. I would expect the IG report in the next 2 weeks, and yeah, hopefully HA and I can organize as quickly as possible.
Gonna drop off up
do
here.
a segment on that, because
46 miles away.
Hopefully as good as we think it's going to be. I'm a little bit nervous based on what Nunez just said, but we'll see. Anyway, everyone that super chatted, really appreciate it. It's keeping us going. All the regular chat, appreciate it. All of the tweets, people watching, very much appreciated. We are currently organizing the date for the debate, and so we will let you know how that goes. I appreciate all the support, guys. It's my pleasure to do it, and we will be here all week. Tuesday will be an afternoon stream. Wednesday will be evening. Thursday afternoon, and then Friday and Saturday will both be in the evening, and then Saturday will be the call-in show. All right, guys, so I'll see you tomorrow. I will be around 1:30. I am the Hard Bastard. Thank you for watching. Real quick, Cooper just said, Jason Chaffetz is my rep. I wish he was still in Congress and investigating this. Yeah, he like retired or whatever, or Yeah, I remember he left. Yeah, I mean, anyone. I'll take anyone that's going to be honest here. But anyway, Cooper, thank you very much. I appreciate the support, and I will see all you guys tomorrow.
So yeah, that's working. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm going to jump over quickly to H.A. Goodman, because I haven't listened to any H.A. today. And while H.A. does his thing, and I haven't listened to any H.A. Look, over 24 hours. CBC was reporting this. Let's get this one. Sorry about the ad. And I'm going to copy this. Hey, Bobbity. Look at the local traffic. That just took off for you. I got a copy of this link over for HA's stream, though. Or HA's viddy. Because that's going to be queued up afterward. So, Bobbity. This is what we're doing. I'll pop out this chat so we can look at the chat while tracking aircraft. But I got a little radio dongle I plug into this USB connection, and it allows me to listen to the information the airlines send. But it's not only airlines, it's any traffic whatsoever. Friend or foe. It's all coming out here. And this script serves to this web page. So it's just broadcasting to my local host, and it links in via map data that way. That just took off. But none of this is really that interesting. It's all lower. It's got to get 40,000. So I don't know if you've read much of the Q. You must have read some of the Q. In Q, he mentions to look for aircraft above 40,000 feet, and he talks about bacon. Talks about bacon. Some of these aircraft are indeed bacon. No, I'm not, but I've got enough radios here that I can listen. I can listen to the traffic as it goes over. Either as it takes off from the local airport, or as it talks to the how should I put it? All the North Atlantic air traffic is handled via Newfoundland. It's handled via this area up here, Gander. So all air traffic needs to check in at Gander anytime it comes close to it, like when it comes over Gander's horizon, or can see Gander's beacons or talk to its radio. So I see lots of traffic where I am, but it's all being managed by Gander, and Gander has a local radio loop through the airport here. So the minute that they tune into Gander's station, they don't actually need to see Gander or line of sight. They can tune into Gander's radio locally, and then feed back. It's everything, man. The NSA manages a fleet of executive jets that are bacon ready. It's everybody. It's commercial traffic. It's like I saw a jet yesterday. I'll show you the screen grabs I got from it. Let me see. Actually, I should just probably go. How to put this? I saw PayPal's executive jet go over yesterday at 42,000 feet or 45,000 feet. I saw the one today was the JBHR1. Let me just pull that one up here. JBHR1. No. HBJR1. This one. I saw this one back in December. It flew over earlier tonight. But this flight track that it's showing isn't correct. And who owns it? Well, it's owned by Execujet Europe. A specific owner, Jacobs Transportation Limited. It's a Bombardier Global Explorer. This particular aircraft isn't hard to track, but that's the ones Q's talking about. Cabal members as well as the people that are being shunted from one place to another, or what was her name? What was her name again? Oh yeah, Hindenburg. She didn't turn her nose up to executive jets. That's part of the problem. She was constantly shifting herself up the jet market to meet the demands of everybody else she was dealing with. These Bacon aircraft are the ones that have Wi-Fi. Not just Wi-Fi, but basically unlimited speed internet access, so that if you need to get onto a cloud to access this, that, or the other thing, you can. You got to pay through the nose for it. Hey David, how you doing? Is running a secret or a secondary hidden version of air traffic. It's able to do some of its work ping-ponging off of local servers that it's over in airspace. Yes. It's not so much as running a secret version, but some of the cloud doesn't exist in network cables under the sea or in the ground or above the ground. They're in the air. The server is on the computer on the aircraft, and it gets access wherever it can, wherever it is. That's what's funny about watching the traffic. I start seeing more of these bloody aircraft, right? These are all basic, regular commuter stuff. WestJet just took off. Don't know where it's headed though. It's headed in a weird direction. Dublin, Ireland. Jeez. I mean, what they report is false spoofing traffic pattern. They could do that, yeah. They could also do that. The thing is, the stuff that spoofs is the software aboard the aircraft. I'll show you what I mean. I've got the Virgin airline selected here now, and it's so like it's pretty far out there. 30 nautical miles is what, getting close to it's close on to 62 kilometers or something. Anyway, this code, ICAO, the hex code, is encoded straight on its flight computer. And that's done when it gets its registration. That's the same as its license tag if it was a car or something, the license plate. That could be spoofed via software through the plane itself. So you can make an airplane look like anything. But this is how all radar works, via this ICAO system. So when it receives a ping from the ground-based radar, all it gets is a radio transmission. It receives it and sends back its data in reply. So to spoof the system, it wouldn't need to use the internet. It would need to use the radios on the plane. But yes. It's friggin' wacky. It's awesome is what it is. Look how far I can see around the horizon, man. That's 35 nautical miles. I'll pull up my calculator, make this fast. Kilometers to miles. Let's set this nautical miles to miles just to make it easy for you guys. 35 nautical miles is the same as 40 miles. And 35 is 65 kilometers. Which is quite a bit farther over the horizon than I can see if I was at ground level, say. Quite a bit farther. This is the stuff direct from the airplane too. There's no lag where it reports into the internet via some other system. So this is direct. That's why the plane jumps every so often. I'm getting packets of data from it. It's the raw packet count messages, time since last packet received, and the signal strength on the radio. And this mode SAC, this is the transmission format that the ICAO uses. Delta Airlines, right? DAL 10. En route and on time. 767. Can this system be used to remote control an aircraft? Answer. Not to my knowledge, but if you needed to transmit, the airplanes themselves have got discriminator circuits. It's like in the movie Strangelove. That's true. If the discriminator has a switch flipped on, it won't receive any transmission that isn't preceded by the correct, like, transmission. Some kind of coded transmission burst has to precede it before it would even consider listening. And in that case, yes, you could override the flight control system via that way. It would be, but it would discriminate against or for. But drone aircraft have been flown. It's all by remote control. It's all by radio remote control, and that's since the Second World War. But the discriminator circuit's a very real thing. Like, you can tell your plane to not listen. And if I was to listen, I could probably give it a try here. I'll plug in the other radio. Let's see if we can hear some overhead traffic from Gander Center. So I've got to, oh, look at this, 41,000 just popped up. This guy, his heading will change the next time we get a message from him. Here's the second radio. The second radio will give me a peek in on the air traffic that's going overhead, like in a different way. Oh, I'm getting a lot of, this is what they call the waterfall. I'm going to try to clean this up first. That'll do. And I'll make sure we can hear it. So this frequency here is the ground frequency for air traffic getting ready to leave the airport locally. This is the international air loop over here. And I can hear local traffic going overhead. Getting a location on that one. But no flight data. Yeah, that one's pretty low. And we're listening here on an AM loop. This is all AM radio that the air traffic uses. So it's all in a lower set of frequencies than FM would be. Let me go up and check. Yeah, here's the real deal area. There's a whole bunch of them up here. Departures from Gander Center, YYQ, these are all Gander channels. Below flight level 28,000 feet. Nothing on here yet. You get a weaponized airtism, bro. This is all little dongles that I plug into the computer, so I needed to buy a bloody USB. I needed to buy a USB, what is it? A hub. Just to get my friggin' mouse to work again. And I still have another mouse on the touchpad. Like, yes, more mice. I want it to be like a field. I'm going to try this. A second way. Might be a little less interference on the loop this way. Oh, look at that. International air. Can you hear that? Gander. So that's air traffic. This is local traffic on ground. It's getting ready to depart, so we'll see that.
United 909, getting ready. Go ahead.
That's him over here, look.
49 North 50 West at 0239.
There's more than one of them.
And we're CCD, okay. Your next ocean area. What's your next oceanic area? Okay, next is 51 North 40 West.
This is him. Haha, Shanwick, yeah.
You're with an announcer, Shanwick. Primary 3476, secondary 88901.
Answer, David. I've been picking up how to do it as I go along. I started learning how to do coding and stuff when I got to university. But I'm not that good as a coder. I can do it, but I'm much better as trying to get the stuff to work.
495, Gander Radio, go ahead.
Lufthansa 495. Am I getting him? It's him over here.
Primary 3476, secondary 5616.
Lufthansa, that one was. I don't think I'm seeing him. Could be him.
Up to 90, Gander Radio, go ahead.
NRS.
Up to 90,
Norwegian.
Quebec Sierra Hotel.
Norwegian.
Primary channel 3476, secondary 88901. 3476, 8891,
Gander United 972 370.
United 972, Gander Radio, go ahead.
That's them.
Okay. Primary chap 3476, secondary 8891.
Gander 10 3476, back up.
Woo, that's hard on the ears. This beast, this the buzz over here. United 952.
KT88, HF primary 5616, secondary 8891.
Primary 8616, 8891,
Gander Radio, go ahead.
41 thou. Albanati arrow.
370, Kepler 0234, 63 North 050 West, next, CCDLC with Chamonix.
Primary chap. Vampire. Primary HF Gander 3476, secondary 8891.
3476, secondary 8891, with contact
And then the traffic goes away for a while. More coming.
907, Gander Radio, go ahead.
So, David, when I was younger, I did consider going in for a job with Canada's air traffic controllers, and they're really exclusive. There's lots of shit coming.
Radio, go ahead. Armory, 8901, secondary 5616. Use the jam like that, right?
Yeah, he did. One on the ground, getting off there, or getting off the ground. So yeah, they're real exclusive in Canada. They're real exclusive about who they let into the air traffic control fraternity. But I happened to meet one later in life, a big time controller, and I was amazed to find out that the dude had Tourette's syndrome. Tourette's syndrome did not prevent him from having a full and active life as an air traffic controller, which, when you think about it, is kind of funny. Yeah, this guy didn't only have Tourette's syndrome, but he was capable of playing a set of bagpipes like not too many other people I've ever known. Let's see if we can't hear the WestJet departing here, because he's so close. Certainly, he's probably checking in with Gander Center right about now.
56, scan radio, go ahead. Yeah, please, 94, next. Say that, VHF for Gander. Crossing the boundary, contact ISO 127.85. Secretary is HF 8864. That's on 127.85 and 864.
Niner, fuck shit, Niner. Because, yeah, exactly. Niner, motherfucker. But he didn't have, it wasn't verbal control tick that he had. It was a facial tick, so it didn't matter. It wouldn't have impacted the way he was able to communicate anyhow. That was the beauty of it. We immediately assumed that it's a vocal control thing, but he has the facial tick. Or the body tick, right? It's such a funny story. Dude could play the fucking bagpipes too. Looking here to see if I can't pick up some more traffic. Answer is no. Can't make it happen. So, is there a program can recognize when aircraft has occurred and then report it? Most of the time, Bobbity, the way they get around it is they basically turn it off. They basically turn it off is what they do. So they could turn it off or on practically when they want to, depending on what level of government they're at. If they're commercial air traffic, for example, I've been specifically reporting on certain aircraft because apparently European rules prevent them from being reported as commercial aircraft when they are. Just out of sheer curiosity. This is what the sky looks like over my horizon.
Charlie Delta, stand by.
Or blog, I wish Q Force was able to help you out. Well, in all honesty, I think this is part of what Force has been doing because of the things Q has said. That's why I look at Q and say, well, it's tabloid, but it's also kind of useful tabloid because there are certain things in that reporting which is not being reported anywhere else. We wouldn't have been told to look at the skies. We wouldn't have been encouraged to ask why.
6 Charlie Delta again, radio, go ahead.
Ask why the skies should be monitored.
6 Charlie Delta, we are at the exit for type 0245, level 340 at taxi 61050.
HF primary 88901, secondary 5616.
8891 and 5616, 6 Charlie Delta.
Gander, weather, this on this frequency. Weather flight calling Gander, take call sign on.
Lufthansa 475, good evening.
Lufthansa 475, Gander radio, go ahead.
Richard Mass, you'll be estimating 49 on 05 kilowatt, 0249 on flight level 390.
Cool, huh?
04 kilowatt next.
This is the...
You voice reporting today?
This is a transmission coming from the airplane, this over here. This is what keys him into the loop.
Next, Oceanic area. Primary HF 5616, secondary 88901.
561.
United 20, Gander radio, go ahead.
Yes, United 20, 3 Sherwood.
HF primary 3476, secondary 88901.
David, answer. There is an answer to what you're asking.
Yes, sir. I seem to be losing my voice here. Primary is 3476.
You're losing your voice. Jesus Christ.
Gander.
Gander.
Dr. Icer 8
So much traffic.
Whiskey Oscar, Whiskey 2, Papa Quebec, Gander radio, go ahead. Nothing heard. Icer 847, confirm call sign.
See, there's that little LUC one. Look.
North 5 west, 0341 and 60 north 40 west, next draft.
Icer 847, Gander radio.
It's Icer 840.
840, go ahead.
Yes, we check position primary to flight level 380, estimating 62 north 5 to the west, 0315, and 64 north 4 to the west, go ahead.
Position received, primary 891, secondary 5616. 501, report 134.47.
This is a long transmission here. I'm going to track this over a 15-minute period instead of moment to moment. private loop. We're not hearing everything he's saying. David, a question that Diana asked to why you can turn a transponder on an aircraft off. Shouldn't that be on all the time? Or is it a security issue? It actually is a huge security issue because, as I was saying, without the transponder, there's really no radar. There is no radar system which, like a military radar would use, where you'd send a signal which physically bounces off, say, the skin of the aircraft and is received in return after having been reflected. The transponder receives a transmission which causes it to send a transmission of its own. Or some transponders are set to constantly transmit even if they don't receive a transmission. That's what they're turning off. Do you see what I'm saying? They don't actually turn it off altogether. They just stop broadcasting automatically, so that they only receive they only receive a certain packets of data which are prefixed with certain other information, and when they receive those packets, they send back specific packets in reply, because that's how the communications are being held. That's what we call security. You follow? Can't see any of it over the horizon here now. Right? It's just nuts. I'm going to just stop this for one moment so that I can get this to work nicely again. Had to reboot it. Ooh. And under internet. And all the software I'm using here is free or open source. There's nothing specific about it. Radar box, right?
Kestrel 2605, Canaridian, go ahead.
Exactly like Dr. Strangelove in a sense, but that's what that's how they turn it off. They can't really afford to turn it off all the time, otherwise the aircraft around them and the people that are working with them can't find them.
5616, secondary 3476.
We start seeing this guy soon. Probably that one too. TK2, what the hell is that one? Oh, Turkish Airlines. Turkish Airlines don't have first class, second class. They delight in coach. I don't know.
I got the row 6 candidate position.
6 Charlie Delta, Canaridian, go ahead.
Pitso 0245 level 340, destination 605 Servette,
It tells
3019er and 63 North 4016.
it tells all of that, Bobbity, yes. Tells altitude, speed. Some aircraft type is sometimes encoded in the ICAO code or in the tail number. So yeah, everything. It's part of its genius. Actually, its packet radio in its infancy was devised on this principle, where what the radio system of the aircraft sends you is a small packet of data which reports the ICAO number, its squawk setting on the transponder, its altitude, speed, direction, track, and then the number of messages that you've received from it is packet data. And what it does is it compiles the packets from first received to last received, and that's how you get your flight track. This location, this location, this location, this location, and it calculates speed over distance independent to what the speed of the aircraft thinks that it is, but it reports its own speed at the time.
CPLC, what is your next oceanic area?
It will be Canada.
Each have primary 88 Honor 1, secondary 5616, and boundary contact license 127.85, secondary HF 8864.
Can trap helicopters are exactly the same.
At the boundary 127.85 and 8864.
David, we're so close to oil rigs where I am right now that helicopters are the things I hear the absolute best. There's nothing that sounds as clear as a helicopter when you're listening to the radio traffic of when he's calling in to say the tower locally, the airport. It's like he's right there in the room with you. It's incredible. You can hear the thud in the background. That. So as I was just saying, we've received a single packet of data from this aircraft, wherever it's located. I don't know where, because it didn't tell me its altitude, speed, or its location. But one packet is all we've received. So that unless I get more packets from that plane, we won't know anything more about it. This one just popped up. We've already got 2 packets, so it's twice as much information. It's at 36,000 feet. That's a speed 555 knots, and the speed of sound at that altitude is around 573 knots. So it's going pretty quick. I'll turn the radio up again.
Contact license 127.85, secondary HF 8864.
881, secondary flight 616.
Shank Airlines, this is a Turkish one. Turkey O'Rose, right?
8864.
Scanner.
I didn't even think of that, Bobbity. But yeah, Turkey O'Rose is the flight hostess. That would be kind of neat.
768,
Out comes Anna to slap you in the face and tell you that she's better than you are. Would you like another, champagne? Whenever I fly, I listen to this stuff in my seat with the little seat radio. Bobbity, because of the reporting rules that the airlines got, though, I can generally tell what the aircraft type is specifically. Get off that plane, you fat fuck! I'm gonna get a cup of tea time.
Did not ask you to go ahead while you're blind transiting. WestJet 80, you return to your last VHF ATC frequency, and that's going to go to clearance, 0 channel clearance.
I am. I'm from Canada.
Okay.
190%. Well, I'm not really. Shouldn't say that. I'm not actually from Canada. Canada joined us in 1949. The Newfoundlanders, historically, they were approached in 1867 when Canada was formed, and they refused to join at that time. So it took almost 100 years before Canada was forced upon us. And since then, it's been all about Quebec being this distinct culture. We're a fucking island, for Christ's sake. I'm on an island, and they're telling me about distinct cultures. Anyway, don't get me started. Sounds a little familiar now, don't
it? 931 primary 8801, secondary 5616.
you all. Here you go, cup of tea, huh? Right there. Oh, good. 8800Z landing, must be. Sky Service, I think that is, SKV. 45,000 feet provides faster air current, decreased flight time. Nah. More like this: 45,000 feet is less atmosphere, and the speed of sound is lower, and it's colder, so you can run the engines hotter at altitude, and get closer to the speed of sound the higher you go, which generally means it's a quieter flight, but it costs a lot of fuel to get faster. You don't necessarily get the benefit of a fast air current, but they clearly are tonight, because the speeds are so close to the speed of sound. 561 there on the United Airlines, that's incredible. 561, and it's literally 573 or 580 for that altitude, for the speed of sound. That aircraft is not Concorde. It cannot break the speed of sound. What is it? 777 Dreamliner. It's cool, man. It's cool. The fact that I can see him that far away, though, is significant in itself. I'm using a tiny little antenna, small antenna, about maybe 8 inches big. The antenna, I mean. You gotta turn around and start to land. The airport is up here. Shall we listen on the ground loop, see if we can hear him? I'll come this far. Certainly, you should be calling to the tower. Zoom in and wait. I gotta watch for this crap. Here's his turn. It's what they call the crosswind. So that's the base crosswind final. I'm getting twice the frame rate you are as well. I'm going to apologize. I only send 15 frames a second. Figures a stream. Doesn't really need to be that high fidelity. "4,000 feet, not calling in yet." There he is. On final. So that's the guy landing, this guy. That's that dude. Ground and gander. He'll call in on ground when he's practically on the ground. Somewhere on approach. Last seen 15 seconds ago. It's very common for me to lose a bunch of packets between here and here, and so the track will skip the curve that it's actually flying. So it might jump to here before we see it again. Here it is. Look how slow his speed is reported last time. 140. That'll be 120 at touchdown. I'm gonna jump ahead. IBK, that's Norwegian, I think. Getting anything else yet? St. John's Tower's got two loops, one for the tower, one for the ground, and they basically use the same channel on both. The ground controller is also the tower. Same salary position. And yet they get two radio stations, the lucky bastards. So line of sight gets screwed up by the actual geography up here. IBK, also Norwegian? Yep. Only a 737. Mid-range rig. Ground control to Major James, right? Jamps by. That's what my grandmother used to say, Jamps. Like with a PS at the end of it. There's too many people with J and P in their names around here too. I've noticed that on our Bastards channel. My God, how many Jameses are there? Jims and Jameses. See you later, David. It's good to see you. East time come, indeed it does come early. It's going to be bright here. The sun comes up in less than 4 hours now. That's the ground loop. Wow, look at all the traffic.
Secondary 8891.
And it's pretty traffic too.
Primary 3476, secondary 8891, Delta 442.
Enter. Is it 442 or 422?
422, Delta 422.
Thank you.
King of
Oh,
names.
Inter-American 208, level 390.
American 208, Canada radio, go ahead.
Look at the chug-a-lug on this thing. It's not dropped many frames, so that's all right.
American 208, Canada radio, go ahead.
Gander, American 208, transmitting 51 west, I'm sorry, 611, 50 west at 3110, flight level 390.
New voice reporting today?
Huh?
That's no problem,
No problem at all. Just keep your next oceanic area.
It's 5340 for American 208.
Oceanic next. HF primary Gander 3476, secondary 8891.
Clearly couldn't see it till it. So they cleared the headland up here. Air Canada.
Good evening, Cardillac 10, radio with
Cardillac 103, Canada radio, go ahead. Primary HF 3476, secondary 5616. Virgin 138, Mike, Canada radio, go ahead. Virgin 138, Mike, primary HF 3476, secondary 8891. Virgin 104, Lima, Canada radio, go ahead.
The shift.
Air HF primary 8891, secondary 3476. Scanner.
He gets keyed through on this other frequency when he gets close enough. Otherwise, he's over the horizon and it doesn't hear him on the repeater. That's a radio repeater that this station's using. So I'm hearing two sets of broadcasts. One from the plane itself as it gets closer. You can see how it's weaker and then it gets louder. And then the one that this one hears as it broadcasts both. Pretty neat. But that one's fixed on the ground in a different location than I am. So I could kind of triangulate if I knew what those distances were. It's kind of like level 1 radar. 57, that one drops. WestJet down here. Is he landing? Nope. Fly by. The other big difference in terms of the loud, like the noise level on these jets, is where you're sitting in relation to the engine. Some of the old style jets, the DC-7, the DC-10, couple others, MD-80s, they all had engines and the tail, right at the end of the tail, sometimes 3 of them. Whereas every other arrangement is having the engines on the wing, and if you sit behind, therefore if you sit behind the wing, i.e. the cheap seats, it's loud as fuck. There were no cheap seats on a DC-10. There were none. They were all in front of the engines. They were all relatively quiet. But if you go to high altitude, it's quieter still. All quiet on the front. Consequently, because this is radio, this is not the only thing I can receive here. Like marine traffic and stuff can also be tracked in a similar fashion. Tracked or monitored, depending on how you look at it. I'll set that to narrow FM. Let's just go up the schedule. Look at that. There was a transmission there. .140. This the ham radio crowd hangs out in this location. And if you're not into ham radio, you can always listen to what I call Biffy Jingo. So this is sometimes quite fun. Local cab station. 153. Here it is. This is the cab dispatch, or one of the cab dispatches. Several hundred cars in the fleet. No Uber here. The Uber is prevented from coming into the market by the cabs. Let's see if we catch any on a Monday night at this hour. Maybe nothing. But this is in FM land. Back here. Yep. Definitely not. Let's see what we're doing here. 192. Moment to moment read here. I'm selecting a bandwidth for radio reception and then dividing it by 2 so that it error corrects between the 2 passes and I get a real clean signal. Much better.
Downtown.
Hear the ground hum? Downtown. For travel to style with bus in the air, get there and have peanuts. Yeah, it's true. They do give less of a fuck about customers. In fact, I've heard them do funny things on airplanes, Uncle Bobbity. The last time I was on an airplane, I heard them try to tell us that because we were heading eastward, we weren't allowed to get out of our seats and shift around in the plane because it was too finely calculated. The weight balances in the plane. The truth is the plane weighs less when it's heading east. So if we wanted to smuggle extra luggage on board, they could get away with it. So they don't give a fuck about everything. They do give a fuck about customers knowing too much. I have discovered that. What else we got up here? Marine radio. This is the forecast.
60% de probabilité d'averse. Minimum 7. Pour dimanche, nuageux avec 60% de probabilité d'averse. Maximum 12. Normal pour la période.
Marine
minimum
weather forecasting.
Plus 4. Maximum 13. Les conditions météorologiques à 1. Saint-Jean, la température plus 1. Le vent de l'ouest-nord-ouest à 19 km à l'heure. L'humidité relative 75%. La pression barométrique 101,0 kPa.
15 knot wind.
Saint-Jean, ouest, la température plus 2. Le vent de l'ouest-nord-ouest à 7 km à l'heure. L'humidité relative 74%. La
Let's look for something more interesting. Fire dispatch there. This one, the red one. This is one of the cop stations. Cops got like 4 different stations spread around the spectrum. Look at these wobbly ass things. That's one of the major ones. All the EM that the cop stations kick out. These are the marine stations. The harbor authorities here. Anything arriving in a boat would check in on that station, on that channel.
For 56, Cedar Drive in like 10 minutes.
What did I have that set on? It was on like 19 or... and divide by 2. Oh, 40 should do, yeah? 40 something. Still set in AM or FM. Couldn't listen to it. What a difference the modulation makes. This is my preferred way of dealing with the data, though. It's what's called a waterfall. I prefer the water.
Your primary HF 3476, secondary 5616.
The waterfall is always better. It's easier to find stuff. Morse code shows up as little, as you can read the Morse code.
5616. Enter. Any change to HF for your cell phone?
Canada, good day, otherwise, 19 Bravo Heavy.
Edelweiss 19 Bravo again, radio, go ahead.
Look at it all.
Edelweiss 19 Bravo around CPLC. Reykjavik next.
Okay, your primary HF Gander 88901, secondary 5616. To boundary, contact Iceland. HF 8864, secondary 4675.
Edelweiss 19 Bravo for Gander, primary 8891, backup 5616. At the boundary, we contact Reykjavik 8864 and backup 4675.
Gander.
Louisville, Canada 818, Chadwick next.
Air Canada 818, Canada radio, go ahead. Primary HF 5616, secondary 3476.
5616 3476, Canada 818, good night. Sunday, good evening, Qatari 756, over Lomsey 376.
Qatari 756, Canada radio, go ahead.
Qatari 756.
8874,
Your voice reporting or CVDLC?
We are connecting now, Qatari 756.
What is your next oceanic area?
Summer 756. It's Gander on next, Iceberg, Qatari
Curious about this
756.
one.
Primary HF 5616, secondary 8891.
787.
The boundary, contact Iceland 127.85, secondary HF 8864.
Copy, HF 5616 8891, on the boundary 12785 or HF 8864, Qatari 756.
Hillary's friends are sometimes Russian, man. They're not just from the Saudis. The last time when I really started getting into monitoring the traffic was back in December. Again, like, because I already had all the gear and I'd already had all the software like installed years ago and wasn't doing it all the time. So when the news started breaking about the Guantanamo traffic, I started watching what jets were going where, and sure enough, there was a whole bunch of traffic going right next door to Guantanamo Bay. Places like, if not Dominican Republic, then Haiti. So it wasn't very far at all from Guantanamo. And Russian planes coming overhead, like coming over the pole past here to go to the Caribbean at that same moment in time, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. TSC 780, no, 700. Keeps floating up and down, this one. Whey. Uranium One friends, exactly. Exactly. And it wasn't no business jets coming from Russia either. It was like package tours, huge ass fucking Aeroflots, 200 and 300 people aboard. Just a little bit out the highway here. I always show this off. Do you see on the map? You see this place called Bay Roberts just at the end of this? In fact, see where the dark line is pointing?
Good morning, I'm 632, level 38, we are estimating Cavalry at 26.
You really gotta get in there before the dildo goes away.
Hi, sir, 632, Gander Radio, go ahead.
Yep, we are estimating Cavalry 0326, level 380, and next is 62 north, 5 north.
Jeff primary 5616, secondary 8891, Savary this frequency.
Okay, we'll call you again, Savary, and group code 564
Enter.
Yeah, it was too. No, it wasn't Amos and Andy. What's the new one?
Gun hello, it's the Castrol 2961, heavy maintaining 400.
Kestrel 2961, Gander Radio, go ahead.
We are 3 and Shamrock is next. Correction. Iceland is next, Kestrel 2961.
You said 400, correct?
With flight level 400, 2961.
Kestrel 2961, primary HF 5616, secondary 88901. At the boundary, contact Iceland 8864, secondary 4675.
HF now 8891 and the boundary 8864, flight number 4675. Kestrel 2961.
Banner.
Reset the antenna there.
Nice, here 632, Gander Radio, go ahead.
Well, we checked position Cavalry, 0326, level 380, estimating 62 north, 5 to the west, 0402, 64 north, 4 to the west is next.
Position received, 50 west, 134.47. On a straight Jeff till then.
What a big buzz going on here.
Okay, 13447, HF, still land 96,
Banner.
Breaking off.
Again, good evening, it's Lufthansa 413 Heavy, request
Lufthansa
Hey, German
413, Gander Radio, go ahead.
Lufthansa 413, request HF frequencies for Gander.
Do you have any information for Gander?
You all suck, you know, in a German way.
Yeah, Lufthansa 413, we have CPDLC, what else do you want to know?
Well, if you're CPDLC, the requirement is to state your next oceanic area. Go ahead.
Sorry for that.
Primary HF 5616, secondary 8891.
How like one of the voice patterns on the Predator.
Captain Spencer, good morning, Speedbird 92 Whiskey, we are...
Speedbird 92 Whiskey, Gander Radio, go ahead.
Speedbird 92 Whiskey, do you read that message?
Your initial transmission, if you went ahead more than your call sign, nothing was copied. Speedbird 92 Whiskey, Gander Radio, go ahead.
Speedbird 92 Whiskey, with CPDLC, Shadow is next, requesting frequency 6.
Air HF primary Gander 88901, secondary 3476.
Gander, ICER 644, position report.
ICER 644, Gander radio, go ahead.
644, we checked Savory at 0327, but 370, estimated 62 knots, 50 west. At 0404 and 63 knots, 40 west. Thanks.
HF primary 88901, secondary 5616, 50 west, 134.47.
Okay, 344.
That was all unreadable. Perhaps you are now out of range of the frequency since you are past 8891 5616. Change down.
Copy that, primary 8891, 16165, 644.
Gander. Condor 075, Gander radio, go ahead. What is your next oceanic area? Primary HF Gander, 5616, secondary 8891. Gander.
Gander radio Delta 126 at 370.
Delta 126, Gander radio, go ahead. HF primary 88901, secondary 5616. Gander. Hazard 836, Gander radio, go ahead.
Hazard 836, CPT and C, ice number.
Your HF primary 88901, secondary 5616. At the boundary, contact ice on 8864, secondary 4675.
Okay, 8891, 5616 from the boundary, 8864, 4675, relax on Banjo, 836.
And Delta 136, Gander radio, go ahead. HF primary Gander 88901, secondary 3476. Gander.
So it's been pretty quiet here for the last few minutes. Yes, I am back. Now I got this running in the background. I don't really monitor the air traffic as much. Look at this. One reporting at 800 feet below sea level. That's not very likely. It's 90 odd signals from it though. Or 100 odd. Those are two weird ones. How many show here? '84 is departing. That's passing by the Virgin. And that's passing by. That's passing by. Only one packet from this little dude. Here we go.
Freebird 94 Heavy, CPDLC, Michelle next, requesting frequency.
Freebird 94, Gander Radio, go ahead.
I can hear the...
Primary HF 5616, secondary 88901.
I can hear one of them going over. That would be this one.
Gander.
Gander Radio, good evening, Shamrock 13 Juliet.
Shamrock 13 Juliet, Gander Radio, go ahead. Your primary HF 3476, secondary 88901. Gander.
These things are rare, but they pop up, and I
don't
know what they are.
Calling Gander. Stand by 1 second.
Gander Control, good evening, Qatari 728 Heavy, flight level 370, approaching Mendy.
There's a 702 calling Gander Radio. What's your call sign? Qatari 702, primary HF is 3476, secondary 88901.
Roger, 3476, secondary 8891, Qatari 702.
The other flight calling, say your call sign only.
Huh.
Nothing heard.
Qatari 728, heavy.
Qatari 728, Gander Radio, go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Qatari 728, maintaining 370. Meldi at 0344, 55 north, 050 west, next.
Are you voice reporting or CPDLC?
We are CPDLC active now, Qatari 728.
And what is your next oceanic area?
Qatari 728, Reykjavik is next.
Air HF primary Gander 88901, secondary 5616. At the boundary, contact Iceland 127.85, secondary HF 8864.
Qatari 728, primary 8891, secondary 5616. Can you say again the frequencies at the boundary?
127.85, that's VHF, and the secondary is HF 8864.
Qatari 728 at the boundary, 12785 and secondary correction HF8864.
Gander.
Gander radio, American 46.
American 46, Gander radio, go ahead.
American 46, we are CPDLC, track Tango, Channel X.
American 46, HF primary 5616, secondary 88901.
American 46, 5616, 8891.
Banner.
Counter right at Command 44, PDLC 220341.
Several flights on frequency, call sign only.
Counter right at Command 44, PDLC.
Was it Finnair 44? Say again the call sign?
44.
Say your call sign.
Call sign Primera 44.
Primera 44, Gander radio, go ahead.
Primera 44, final 360, CPDLC, and we're overhead duty for Oceanic.
I'll require your next oceanic area.
Next will be Chandelier. 44.
HF primary 3476, secondary 88901.
Okay, primary 3476, secondary 8901, Primera 44.
Enter. American 46, Gander radio, go ahead.
Can you please give us a cell contact, Delta Mike Golf QF?
HF for your cell call.
Sorry, thanks.
Virgin 10 Kilo, Gander radio, go ahead.
Virgin 10 Kilo, we are CPDLC requesting frequencies and channel connect.
HF primary 3476, secondary 5616.
3476, 5616 for the backup, Virgin 10 Kilo.
Gander.
Good night.
Going quiet again. Nothing wrong with that. Pull up another web page here just to see what's the radar box reporting. Yeah, a little bit of quiet for a while. Got this one coming in. 39,000 feet. This will be him. Look at all the messages I'm getting from this thing. I wonder, are these transmissions I'm receiving from the beacons up at the airport? That one kind of makes sense to me. Inner beacon, outer beacon, between 10 and 1,000 and 200. But these are bit codes, right? This squawk is 1 through 7. So at most it could be 7777. And in about 10 minutes, I'm going to need to stop and get some grub. So yeah, I haven't talked at all tonight on the stream about what other things might be coming up on the stream. I got a camera set too low. The near future probably will include more follow-up stuff on what I did the last stream, which was looking at the WikiLeaks grab team documents, which was quite interesting. And I checked the tweet again lately just to see if they got any further with a long translation, and they did. But it came in from a bunch of different places. This would be Air France 377. Clearing the 10 nautical mile line outside of the city boundary. Yeesh.
My name is H.A. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. The president has stated he's going to pardon himself if impeached, or if the Senate, if after impeached in the House, the Senate tries to remove him from office. This is apparently, or CNN, I have the absolute right to pardon myself. Number one, it's not going to happen. The House is in Republican control, and you need a majority in the House. So Democrats are banking on the belief that Republicans would be just as indignant or outraged if Trump fought a subpoena or if Trump tried to fire Mueller as they would be. So I'll get to that in a moment. Also, minute 15 of this segment, I'll get minute 15, okay? So 15 minutes of straight, I'll get to my Jeff Sessions impression, so minute 15, and definitely check out my latest at H.A. Goodman's Second Amendment. I shoot a Beretta 92 FS Inox, and it's great. And there was actually a little malfunction during the session, and I fixed it, but it was interesting. Anyway, give me your thoughts on that. Check that out. Also subscribe to that channel if you're into firearms. That's my new YouTube gun channel. And I also have an article weekly by Gun Owners of America. I'm a lifetime member of the Gun Owners of America. Very proud of that. I have absolute right to pardon myself. Number one,
Brady 118, Gun Radio, go ahead.
Comment.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Gun Brady 118. We are CBDLC. Now, Cuba tonight and 51 and north 050 west. Thanks.
You are CBDLC?
Charlie 2118.
What is your next oceanic area?
Shannon is our next oceanic area 2118.
Primary HF 3476, secondary 5616.
This is exactly number one. Trump is trolling the media. Okay, number two, he's not going to get impeached. Even if it's a Democratic House, he's not going to. Let's say they would impeach him if the Democrats controlled the House. Right now, they're not going to. They're not on their way to controlling the House in 2018 in November. They're completely inept. They're rooting against a peace deal between North and South Korea and Kim Jong-un and Trump. The Democratic Party is completely hate-filled, not only for Republicans, but for independents like myself. I'm really an independent. I'm not a Democrat or conservative. I'm kind of an independent, just an American citizen. I'm one of, actually, the majority of American voters are independent, similar to me, or perhaps you as well. So I started off, I'm still actually a registered Democrat. I have to fix that. But which is funny. But they're not going to win the House in 2018. And let's just go ahead. Here are the generic polls. They have complete media collusion. So polls 2018 midterms. You have to understand the advantages that 3.2 points. Now, they have immense advantages. First of all, history shows that they should easily take back the House and Senate. The Senate, they might even lose seats. The House, they're only 3.2 in generic midterm polls up. So, I mean, and then you have all of these, again, the gurus, the pollsters, they're all Democrats. You don't find many, like 538, they're all Democrats. They're all liberals. So, if you find a pollster that's not a liberal, that's like, well, he's an outlier. He's like, that person, really doesn't have the pulse of what's going on. The polls show that Democrats are going to lose once again. When they lose, that'll be, in a way, just as epic as Clinton losing to Trump. Because the whole excuse was Russia stole the election. Oh my God. So they're not going to go ahead. Okay, so number one, he's not going to get impeached. Number two, even if the House impeaches him, the Democratic Party will not control the Senate in 2018. Because right now, they don't control either the House or the Senate. So it's impossible for them to impeach Trump. Even they've tried a number of times. But in 2018, they're not going to control the Senate, and the Senate is needed to officially kick a president out of office. So you impeach in the House. This is the New York Times. If at least 2/3 of the senators find the president guilty, he's removed, and the vice president takes over as president. They're not going to win the Senate, but they'll try to impeach him in the House. And this is the New York Times. If first the House of Representatives votes on one or more articles of impeachment, if at least one gets a majority vote, the president is impeached, which essentially means indicted. They're not, and then the next issue is that they're not going to impeach him on anything to do with Trump-Russia. They're going to impeach him on trying to say he obstructed an investigation that should never have been conducted. They're so petty and they're so filled with malice and hate. And they don't realize, like in 2015, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but in 2015, I was stating they cannot win. Not just Clinton, the Democratic Party can't win if they don't adhere to a value system and truly believe it. Hate is not a value system. You cannot run on, oh, we hate this man, we hate Trump, when a lot of what's going on, lowest unemployment ever for Black Americans, African Americans, I believe Latinos as well. And you cannot run on hate. Well, how can you hate that?
Three British Airlines there, British Airways. 123, 123. All of them with the same 400 code at the beginning. Well, 400, 400, 406. 22C is the outlier. It's probably the newest one. The 787 twin jet. Let's see what these other ones are. That's the 74. I'm gonna guess that's 74. 777. It's a Dreamliner.
good economy. You're exposing corrupt FBI officials. I mean, you can say what you like. Oh, well, Comey, even if you wanted to say that, if you were a Democrat and you wanted to say that Clapper and Comey and Brennan, they were all honest, well, then why on earth is there a criminal referral from Michael Horowitz and essentially also from the Office of Professional Responsibility when they kicked him out of the FBI, Andrew McCabe? Once McCabe gets indicted, then what? That'll be a real indictment. Not something that took place 10 years before Russia. Democrats know, and I know this because I debate, a lot of my friends are like hardcore Democrats, hardcore. And I look into their eyes, and they know this is a profanity alert. Do not listen if you don't want to hear profanity. They know it's all a bunch of bullshit. They know that. But they think that's the way the game is played. Oh, throw as much mud. This will just cover up Clinton. It's all the same. No, it's not the same. It's not the same. There is no Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and Steele dossier. There is no BuzzFeed suing the DNC on the conservative side or on the Republican side. It's not analogous. You're talking about not just apples and oranges. You're talking about apples and race cars. It's a completely different ballgame. The Democratic Party happens to be infinitely more corrupt than the Republican Party. That doesn't mean the Republicans aren't corrupt. But Republicans run on a value system. A value system that really doesn't really change. They're pro-life. They're many want a wall. Interestingly enough, many are against regime change, which is a very big positive. And they're less hawkish than the Democratic Party. And so it's like they just run on a value system. You can go on. Democrats don't run on a value system. Their thing is we're better than Republicans. We'll vote to deregulate banks. We'll vote to give President Trump the authority to utilize the authorization for use of military force, added spying powers. They're a bunch of hypocrites. They say that he's a madman, yet they give him unlimited power, or as much power as any other president has ever had, both in terms of the intelligence community, which is hilarious because they're using the intelligence community against him. And they don't realize that he's wrestling. I was always saying he's going to wrestle, and he's been wrestling control of the intelligence community away from the Democrats.
DLH is Lufthansa. Lufthansa, I think, yeah. Lufthansa.
Democratic Party. They are completely and utterly, profanity alert, screwed. Trump has Haspel as the CIA director. He has Christopher Wray at the FBI. Admiral Rogers, he'll find a new NSA chief very soon because Rogers is leaving. Mike Pompeo is at the State Department, the same place that the same department or the same agency that decides whether or not to expedite FOIA requests. It's always the State Department that's been dragging its feet. Now he's there, and he can't stand Clinton. He grilled Clinton during the Benghazi hearing. So, and then Republicans still control the House and Senate. They'll still control the House and Senate in 2018. Even if in 2018 something crazy happens and Democrats manage to get some kind of political momentum, which won't happen, they'll get the House, but not the Senate. And you tell me, the Democratic Party essentially is done in terms of political influence and momentum. In terms of political influence and momentum, they have none. They have only the media. They have only the media, and they have only Twitter. Facebook is like pretty much done as a... Who on earth is on Facebook anymore? I only use Facebook to just share my segments.
I hate to say this, but...
And most of the I'm on some Trump Facebook pages, groups, but I'm like on a million Bernie groups. But I think my message is I don't know if my message will resonate anymore. So, but who is on Facebook? Nobody. So they have Twitter. That's about it. But Trump is not going to. And then the biggest thing of all, the biggest thing is they have to prove, number one, the DNC was hacked. Trump has been holding back. He's not emailing he's not tweeting the part of the intelligence community report that says, "Oh, we're not certain of anything." Even high confidence means there could be factual errors. That's part of the warranty disclaimer. They're bluffing on everything. The intelligence reports come with warranty disclaimers. Not one vote they've proven has been altered. Not one vote. Okay, Wisconsin hasn't voted for a Republican since 1984. The Russians didn't know that or care about that. And they never hacked the DNC. It was a leak, not a hack, according to Adam Carter, the forensicator, brilliant cybersecurity analyst, Elizabeth Voss, a brilliant journalist at Disobedient Media, Ray McGovern, CIA legend, Bill Binney, CIA legend. They didn't. If they hacked anything, it was her server. It was unencrypted. Check out but her top secret emails. I'll be coming out with book 5 very soon, and it'll be the biggest. It'll be the most complete recap, and it will include the Inspector General report, and I can pretty much tell you a lot of what I've written in but her top secret emails and but her deleted emails and debunking the Trump-Russia myth. Those are my books below. Have been that you will see them written about in the Inspector General report. I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just letting you know. But Trump's not going to pardon himself. He's just giving the middle finger to the Democratic Party as usual. Pardon himself. Pardon himself. Then Meathead from All in the Family. I think that's the Rob Reiner. The brilliant legal team of Giuliani and Trump, in preparation of the constitutional crisis of their own making. Rob Reiner has no evidence that they colluded with Russia. Have already started making their oral arguments. Apparently, a president can get away with murder because he can pardon himself. No, what murder? Tell me again. Where's the evidence? Chuck Todd asked James Clapper, "Do you have any evidence?" No. If anything, the evidence is that Peter Strzok and John Brennan, and McCabe, who flew to London, worked with British spies to undermine Trump. Where's the evidence? Right over dildo. Look at that. Where is the evidence that any of this? Where's the evidence that any of this has resulted in collusion or Trump working with Russia to defeat Clinton? They don't even the extension of irrationality doesn't even extend to how many votes were altered. How many states were altered? They would then have had to know that the Electoral College, which votes Trump would need. You're talking about $46,000 worth of Facebook ads prior to the election. I mean, it's a bunch of nonsense. It's an absolute bunch of nonsense. And so he's not going to he's not going to get impeached. But in the worst case scenario, he gets impeached. He's not going to get convicted by the Senate. Okay, so you won't see a Pence presidency because he didn't do anything wrong. They're going to try to get him on obstruction, but anyway. This is my sessions for today. How are you today, Mr. President? Good, thank you for calling. Yes, I think it was perfect what you did today by telling everyone you'd pardon yourself. I think you were trolling them beyond belief.
Trolling them.
Oh, you mean it? Okay. Well, that's fine too. They're not going to impeach you anyway, but even if they did, you can pardon yourself and drop the mic. You know what they say that? No, I'm saying when you have, like, for example, you have a microphone and you just drop it. Yeah. You know what the young people say. Okay. You drop that mic. I'm pardoning myself. Profanity alert, bitches. And you drop the mic. Yes. Well, then have a microphone with you. No, you're going to speak to... You just take the microphone and drop it. Okay. Yes. Well, I have an idea. Yes, I know. Well, I have an idea that you should do to really drive them crazy. You should call up Vladimir Putin, and you should go ahead and film like a music video. Both of you take off your shirts.
Like a?
And I don't know if you want to put tight shorts on. I didn't go that far. You can keep your slacks on. Well, you don't have to get too into it. It was just a thought. Yes, well, I was thinking, go ahead and make a video of you and Vladimir Putin playing volleyball with your shirts off and jumping up and down and getting all sweaty. And that'll make the Democratic Party. I don't even know if one of them will be left. Their heads will explode. Yes. Well, you could make it in slow motion. I don't know if you really want to. Well, not you, Mr. President. I'm talking about Vladimir Putin. He gets all jiggly. You're in good shape, yes. Okay, yeah, and tweet that out and say, I dare you to impeach me. Look at this body. Look at this sexy body. Yes. I think it would be absolutely fantastic. Oh, you did? You found the tapes?
And enough of that. Thanks, HA. I'm totally gone over time. Thanks for watching, YouTube. My name's James PFP. You can catch more of my content here on this channel. Subscribe if you want to get notifications. Don't forget to click the bell. And thanks for watching.